have a full command of the dégagé or the battement tendu. If you want to be a doctor who dances in their spare time, there's a path for that.
You wouldn't allow
They
someone to
allow
be
the things.
proficient, not be proficient on the instrument.
You said a teacher and you said a coach, and those are two different things.
If they charge you $50 a week, run. Welcome to the Major Business Podcast, where we talk everything auxiliary dance from strategy, structure, leadership, performance, and training. And today, I'm your host, Vershawn Lee, and we have a special guest for you all. So, guess what? Let's learn a little bit about her before we bring her in. She's a performing arts department chair and dance director at Westlake High School for the past 18 years, former coach of Mahogany N Motion for 13 years. Um, and then she's also a dancer, dance educator of 30 years. Okay, can we say experience? Okay, so let's get into what she has to say today. And without further ado, hey girl,
Hey,
hey.
hey, Rashawn.
All right, girl. Well, listen, I just want to get straight into the things. So here recently, although those that know, they know that you be knowing all the things, okay?
You know,
But I first want to get into most recently when you had the whole stint about the girl trying to make the team. She obviously didn't make the team, but there were some issues with the training, right?
girl,
Or lack
girl.
of. Okay. And so that's what we're really gonna get into today. So I kind of want to know from you, what do you feel like is, and you alluded to a little bit, but what do you feel like is the parents' responsibility off rip?
Oh, I mean, I've been meaning to do a part two to that too, because research is research, right? So it just upset me as a dance educator. I was upset that someone did not have integrity when giving of this art form. And parents need to just be aware. You gotta, you gotta ask more questions, and you gotta see what you got. You gotta know the goal. Is the goal to have fun? Then cool, have fun. But if the goal is to eventually dance at a varsity level, I mean, these high school kids do amazing things today. Amazing things. Girl, I could have never,
Mm-hmm.
ever
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
this age
Extreme.
done what these kids can do. So if you want to do this, you gotta, it's not fun after 10. Performing is fun. Class ain't fun after 10. Class
Exactly.
is hard work, is sacrifice. And if you're in it to have a good time, then do that.
That's called recreation.
Yeah, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have fun. Have fun. And dance should be fun. Dance should be from the heart. But at a certain age, it's less about the fun and more about the appreciation of the fact that it is an art form
So
and
that's
that you
what
want to
I'm
get
saying.
better at
So that's what I'm like, in terms of responsibility, it's all of our responsibility to make sure, right? So you got, from the
it.
parents' perspective, you got the coach's responsibility, you got the teacher's responsibility, right? Then there's some onus on the band directors too, because sometimes they
Mhm.
allow the things you wouldn't allow
They
someone to
allow
be
the things.
proficient, not be proficient on the instrument. Meanwhile, you got these girls and you put them up front. So everybody plays a part in this, even
Mhm.
even down to
Mhm.
the dancer, because again, we say, speaking of age, you got to be responsible enough too to know if this is what we're doing or not. So how do they identify these things, I guess, is what I'm saying, because
Well, you said something very interesting in that explanation. You said a teacher and you said a coach, and those are two different things. Those are two different things. I
yeah,
made a
okay.
comment, someone made a comment on that post last night, and I think I responded this morning. But there's a very important distinction between what a teacher is and what a coach is. You know, the discourse about as a dance advocate, you're either a dancer, a choreographer, a teacher, the different hats that you can wear. And very rarely is someone able to wear three or more hats. It's just very rare. You
Mm-hmm.
can dibble, you can dabble, but the hat wearing, you gotta know your stuff. So for example, I am a dancer, I am a dance educator, and I am an artistic director. I can choreograph. It's not my superpower. I can direct, but I am first an educator and I am first a dancer. I am a director because I've done this for so long. And that's
Right. We know
where me
exactly how it's supposed to be done. So at this
has
point,
gone to.
get out the way. I got it. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you're looking, you need to know what you're getting from your coach. So someone said, I'm glad that you give feedback. Yes, of course. I'm always going to give feedback because I'm a dance educator. By the time you meet the coach, I'm not here to tell you nothing but get you together.
Yeah.
It just happens that this coach is also a dance educator. You see what I'm saying? Like as a
But
coach, I've
but
had
key.
coaches. It wasn't her job to do anything but get me ready for the show, get me
Mm-hmm.
ready for the game. That was not. She didn't have to care. She didn't have to. She didn't have to do nothing but 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what you wearing. This is your hair look like. Hold me accountable, and that's it. Now my teachers and my mentors were the ones who said, do what your coach says, but also do this. You see what I'm saying? And those are two different things. And parents need to know that those are two different things.
Very
Two different
equivalent
things.
to performance versus training, or like the other post that you reposted, rehearsal versus practice. These are not the same things, and that's why I feel like the conversation though is around what are the differences. If I'm preparing for something, I'm
Mhm.
in terms of a performance, then maybe that is the coach's responsibility. That is rehearsal. But if I'm training, right, my skills, then if I'm working on skills, then I'm with the educator. And
Right.
I think a lot
Right.
of times the coach needs to you should know your superpowers. I think that's also where the issue lies too. I think people
I
have
agree.
not, or some people have not yet identified their superpowers per se. So it's
Yeah.
kind
Then
of
they need
like
to
they're
get back in the
dibbling
lab.
dabbling into
Yeah.
the
You need to get back in
things,
the lab.
and it's like, and for some they aren't as proficient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to recognize that and then be willing to bring in somebody else who's at this point learning the things.
There it is.
Sometimes there's a learning curve. We don't have time. The children need
Exactly.
to already. So we got to bring in
Exactly.
somebody that can get it together.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think
So
we're
that's
not
a
investing in
perfect
that.
example. I will call the choreographer in a hot minute. Hey, come set this piece, please. And then when they can't do what you ask them to do, I just teach them how to do it.
Exactly.
So you
Or
want this, you want
I could
this
clean it up.
magnificent turn combination. Cool. They can't do it right now, but when time come to do it, they'll be able to do it. You know why? Because I can teach you how to turn. I can teach you how to do anything you want to learn how to do. Because I can teach you. I'm a dance educator. Do I feel like the expressing the brain power to create a magnificent work of art? Nope. No, I don't. Can I? I can, but I don't
Yeah.
want to because there's someone else qualified enough to do it who does a better job than me, who has a gift that should be shared with the dance community, period. Because
Hmm.
I am not a model. I cannot give you or your child everything, period, ever. And
So
if you
what?
feel like that as a coach or a teacher, you are sadly mistaken. I am so thankful for the dance makers and the Normas and the Sky Dances and the Lisa's Dance Spot and the Balethnics and all of them. I'm so
Hmm.
thankful because those dance educators and those choreographers have poured into the children who come here. So I'm able to think like it takes a community
Hmm.
to build
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
dancer.
Yeah.
It
But you have to
No
also
one
be in
person can
said
do it alone.
community. You got to be in the community. That's the other part too. So before we get to that though, let's talk about the skills. let's talk about the skills. So what when they come to you for real, like what are you really expecting them to know or have and
Okay.
understanding? Because I know you do, but for some of
Mhm.
our viewers, like it's also it's not just dance skills. There are other skills
Mhm.
that you're looking for as well. So
Mhm.
can you name some skills and what they should at minimum walk into
Yeah.
a varsity or high school dance program knowing?
So, um, there are, like you say, hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are the easy ones to see. You go on any team's Instagram and you can see what is present in every single one of their field shows or performances. What are they doing all the time consistently? What can everybody do? And that means you can't just go look at one video. You have to look through people's stuff. You have to look
Mhm,
and do
homework.
your research, find out, do your homework. Okay, hard skills. Cool. I'll come back to those if we need to. Soft skills. Are you warm and inviting? You are going to wear someone's brand that's bigger than you, older than you. Are you warm and inviting? Are you a good example? Are you someone that people should look up to? Do you make good grades? And if you don't make good grades, are you always in tutoring to make sure those grades are going up? Like, it's the example of integrity that represents the larger brand. That is something that people do not really give enough credence to because, and I'll say this, Westlake is Westlake. We're old school. We are black AF. We are a heavy hitter when it comes to athletics and all these like traditions, and you know how Westlake do. So you can do certain things that certain brands. Does that make sense? I hope that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm,
Certain
mhm.
brands allow certain things, and you have to understand the brand that you're coming into. A brand won't change because you want it to. And that's something else people need to understand. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that that's how it's gonna be. We have a lot of people who complain and don't hold each other accountable for things. And you can't come into any organization expecting for things to be different because you're there. It's just not, that's not how it works. That's not how the industry works. That's not how teams work. It's just not. And I get a lot of that. It's just a lot of people don't think that the rules apply to them. I make it very clear that, you have to make certain grades. And this isn't new. You know, our good soror down in Miami, she talks about this stuff all the time, Tracy.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Um, it's about your grades. It's about your presence. This isn't new stuff that people are talking about. And if you are a discipline problem, no, not brown hip partner. What they say? Not brown hip. If you are someone whose time is better spent studying, because I don't want to say I don't make good grades, but it's very difficult to balance your academic life with your dance life in a high school setting. It
Mhm.
is. And if you don't have the time management capability or the prioritization of the discipline to be able to prioritize your grades over your social life, when you add this dance beast in that takes away every Friday night, ding, every after school day, most times Saturdays and Sundays because it's parade season all year,
And don't mess around and travel.
girl, you are not going to be academically successful. And the whole point behind going to school is to be academically successful and get out of school. You don't want to be a professional student. You want to get out of here and be a professional. Um, and so those are those soft skills that programs like Choreo U and what we do at HBCU ADD and all these little workshops that people give for free
Mhm, 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 mhm.
to talk to you about the other things that will make the team or get the job or whatever it is. Yeah, those soft skills.
But yeah, that's why I'm like, I almost feel like we need or parents need specifics because when they send their kids to places, they assume that these things are happening, right? If I'm not a dancer, I don't actually know if she's in the right place or not. Now,
Right.
I can do my due diligence to watch videos of, from this place, right? That I'm possibly choosing to send my child. If I
Mm-hmm.
watch the videos and they look like they doing a decent job, if I walk in, I mean, everybody moving around together. I don't know if the things are right what they're doing, but they look like they're moving around together. And then I go in, they have all these trophies. They got trophies and banners. So I mean, they winning. So I think that this is great. Okay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Price point wise, I can afford this because they say I can get 4 classes for $50. So this is I can afford this. And so
Mm-hmm.
now, how do I know if they're being prepared or not? I think that's where the confusion
Mm-hmm.
comes in because we assume that they should know what's what's accurate. So
That's
now how do
exactly
they
the point of
know?
my post. Because how do you know? But the only way you'll know is if you have set a goal. You see what I'm saying? Because if your goal, I think about my relationship with my mom. I sat in an Ailey performance when I was 7 years old and I said, Mommy, I'ma do that right there. And she was like, Bet, say less, little sis. And she put me in things that facilitated me to go there. Well, on my way going there, I took my own little deviation, uh, and ended up where in a different place, but same, same family. Um, but it's all about the goal. If your goal is to be a professional dancer or be a professional concert dancer, be a professional commercial dancer, then let that be the goal and let the path be to that goal. I am an advocate of students making long-term life goals when it comes to dance because
Mm,
if you bout this life, it's never going to leave you, you
mm-hmm.
know. And then be realistic with it. If you want to be a doctor who dances in their spare time, cool. There's a path that you can follow for that. If you want to be a professional concert dancer, there's a path that you can follow for that. You know, all paths lead to dance industry. And it's interesting how many people think that it's not doable. It's such a doable dream. It's such a doable dream. You just have to get on the path and stay on the path. But if your path is to dance for Mahogany N Motion at Spelman College, well, that's not a goal to me. That's a part of your path because college is only 4 years, maybe six for some of people. No shade
We're
at
gonna say
all.
5 because 6
Boom.
is crazy and
6 is a little
expensive.
wild, but five, either
5 I
way,
could see. Change a
that's
major. I could see that.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's just a stepping stone because you're gonna live past 22,
Right.
23. And if that's where your goal stops, I say, why you doing this? What you doing this for? Like, you might want to get a life.
I feel like, right. I'm like, I feel like maybe a metric could be looking at where the kids go when they leave. Maybe not so
Mhm.
much of them dancing there because again, as a non-dancer, you don't know if it's right or not. But
Right.
but if you look at the history of what happens when they leave, where can they go
Yes.
from there?
Yes.
Then and that means, and you all used to always say this, new programs may not be for you because you need to wait and see what happens, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
how well this is going to go before I become a part of this. So as a
Mhm.
parent, if I see that these kids are going to the point parks and then the places, right? TCU and all that, then it's like, okay,
Mhm.
well, this seems like a good place for my child if the
Mhm.
track is possibly conservatory. So if I'm looking at Alvin
There you go.
Ailey and things, and I'm like, oh yes, I saw Misty Copeland. My child says she want to do that. Then this looks like this is what this should look like, right? Let me see
Right.
where these kids are going after here, where they're prepared to go, and then this
Yes.
may be a viable option for my child.
Mhm.
Now, if these kids aren't going anywhere, or if they're making HBCU dance lines, this is
And then
possible.
stop.
Well, if that's, because for some kids that is the goal, they don't know
Right.
they want more. So possibly this
Mhm.
is the goal. So it's like, okay, cool. Because like a lot of people see
Then
JoJo,
you know where to go.
that they see JoJo, a lot of them don't realize that she's a whole professional dancer, right?
Right.
So they see her as the captain of Mahogany and like, oh my God, she's amazing. I want to be a part of Mahogany. That's great. But let's also keep studying, keep watching, because if you look at these other posts that you skip past, she's here, she's there, So it's like I think
Mhm.
people they look past those things because they only see what
Fixate
they
on one
see.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it has to be some sort of metric for a parent to, to know if this place is good or not. And then to make sure you tell your child, no, because if we go over here, now there are some I won't say that majorette studios or majorette teams aren't, a good place. I won't say
Yeah.
that, but I
I'll never
will
say that.
say that if that's the end goal, cool. All right. So
Then
if
that's
that's
where you're
it,
supposed to be.
if that's
That's
all
where you're
you want,
supposed to be.
and we're looking at style, right? So
Yes.
if you're on the majorette team and you do this for all these years, they're doing all these, wonderful things, right? And if there are no injuries, because you talk about that too, if there are no
Mhm.
injuries and we're trucking along and everything is great, hopefully this style matches what we're looking at. Because if we're looking
Right.
at Jackson State and Alcorn and things, this is great.
Mhm.
But if we're
Yeah.
looking at Divas and Mahogany N Motion and other, Golden
Yeah.
Delight and Black Foxes, if we're looking at more technical teams, this is not gonna pan out. You know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
think the
Right.
parents got to start paying attention to like what they're seeing. If you see these moves, but you don't see them over here, and your child is talking about doing these things over here, then we got to
It's gotta
find
match.
something to match.
It's gotta
Like
match.
how you said your mom did. We got to find something to match.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think
gotta match.
it's just important to lay out some sort of metric. Now, moving on to coaches though.
Ooh.
How should how should coaches be preparing the kids? Because I understand, like you said, coaches are supposed to, they're not teaching because they're not educators. But
Mhm.
sometimes there is no education, right? You get kids in your program that have not
Mhm.
been a part of any sort of, dance education. So you now have to provide both. How should coaches approach that type of situation?
I take my biggest lessons. Um, you taught me one of my biggest lessons, Rashawn, straight up. We share a student, Jasmine Baker. God
Yes.
bless Weezy J Baby. I love her. And we were talking about, pouring into Jasmine and making sure she was going to be the best person she is. She's fantastic now, by
Mhm.
the way. I don't know if you follow
Oh,
my girl, but
absolutely.
she is. Either way, you was like, yeah, I sat her down because she didn't have her earrings. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's what I'm talking about.
I literally
But
just was talking
as
about this yesterday.
coaches, our job is to hold them accountable.
Mhm.
And speaking of coaches, here's the thing is I have run into coaches who just don't know how to hold people accountable.
Mhm.
I don't want to say they care too much because as a coach you should care. You really should care. Um, but they steal those lessons from their students and it ultimately cripples them. You sitting Jasmine down for a pair of earrings made her a better dancer for me. And me holding her accountable for the things I held her accountable for made her a better adult.
Mhm.
And that's what coaches are supposed to do. I'm not here to be nice to you all the time. I'm here to build you into a better version of you. I'm coaching you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And coaches need to know that. Coaches need to get trained in things like that. Like what I am seeing is just a lack of training in coaches. Like, some coaches have the ability to inspire kids and do some things, but we need this generation is a different generation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking of young people 20 and under. They're just different. Um, we need to be prepared with the right tools. And when I say right tools, I'm saying we need to know the law. We need to know first aid. We need to know hazing violations. We need to know weather advisories. We need to know, you need to know what is too hot to take a child, to take the team outside, what is too cold to take the team outside. And you need to care because these kids will have you in jail.
And when you
And you need
say
to know.
law, the legalities of like closed doors
Yes.
for male and female. Well, shoot, at this
Yes.
point, female to female, stop closing them doors. Just all the things. Yeah, all
You
the
need to
things
know
is
the laws
lacking.
because yeah, I am sitting here. Um, I plan to retire in the next 11 to 12 years. Um, but I need to know who the next generation of good teachers are. Who are the ones with the certifications and the trainings, and you know the law, and you know first aid, and you know to check weather advisories, and you just I need to know who y'all are because we are lacking in people who are genuinely qualified. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can come in and teach a little something, but I can't leave because you forget to give the children water. I can't leave
Or you
because
don't
you
think they
have
need
outside.
water. Some of them they don't. Some of them don't think they didn't earn it. Water is not to be earned.
Baby, please
Like, it's
let
a
one of these
right.
children drop dead on you. You'll be hydrating in. Watch. These kids are not built like we were built, girl. My teacher used to be like, "There go your water. You good." No,
Right.
these kids, their brains are wired differently, which means their bodies are wired differently, and we need to pay attention.
Hmm.
We just do because give babies their water, make them earn it, but give them their water for real, for real. Because I
But
still
like,
will be like,
okay,
but I earned it,
okay, but
but
how do
gotta
they
give it to them.
know though? That's what I'm saying. Like how are because we have some people that I had a band director once tell me, and I think I mentioned this before. He was like, "Well, why don't y'all, like come together? You know how band directors they know each other, they went to school together, they in fraternities together, or there's association just by by career alone." Okay.
Mhm.
Well, we don't have that same type of network because there's no real qualification for a coach. Dance teach
That's
not even
the
a dance
thing.
teacher. If you talk a good game, most administrators don't even know
They
what they
don't.
need. They don't even know
They
how
don't.
to hire these types of people, and they
They
also
don't.
don't even seek consultation to know. So that's another thing too. But just so okay, so you hire these people, right, to be a dance educator or to be a coach in your school, and then you don't know if they're given the right things or not because nobody knows, all right? So because nobody's governing our industry.
Right.
so
And
so you
Georgia,
get in
poor
there,
Georgia.
and so then how do you get more or like, professional development? Like how
Mhm.
where or how do
Okay.
you stay ready and prepared to like teach these kids cuz
Yeah.
they don't know.
They don't. You join. Here's the thing. In Georgia, we're doing better. We're doing better. And and if you're not a student, you are failing to grow. And so I find myself, I try to always be a student. And in the last, I would say like maybe 10 years, I've joined some dance organizations, and every organization I've joined has taught me something, and I'm very happy about that. I've been doing this for 30 years, 30 years in the same industry, and I'm not that old.
Yeah, you look like you're 12. Uh-huh.
I'm not that old. So at a certain time, it's like, dang, I need to learn something new because, like I said, these kids ain't the same. The industry is not the same. Atlanta's not the same. I gotta learn some more. So what I did was I joined the National Dance Educators Organization in DEO, and I went to a couple of conferences and I taught at a couple of conferences because you have to share your information, sharing information,
Mhm.
and remind me to go back to that because you touched on something. But I also you introduced me to Sean Zachary, and yeah, at some event we were hosting at Westlake, and he was like, "Ray, this is Sean. Sean, this is Ray." And I was like, "Okay, hey, Miss Girl," and me and Sean have become great friends, and now we are on the board of Sean's organization, the HBCU Auxiliary Dance Directors Association, which
Mhm,
does a conference every year, and you've been there every year.
mhm.
And every year at that conference, I learn so much, even at my big age of 30 years plus. You know what I'm saying? I learn something from every person in that room. I learn what to do. I learn what not to do. I learn, dang, that happened to you. Oh my gosh, let me prepare myself. Or wow, you were so prepared for that. How did you do that? But I believe in dance community. And now I'm going back because you said, how do we get coaches to know? Coaches have to trust the community. And what I've learned is that if you're a coach and you don't trust the community, it means you never had community growing up in this.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's sad for me. That makes me feel bad for you because you need community. People feel like if I share my students, I'm going to lose my students. Well, if you're going to lose your students, you ain't good enough to keep them.
Right,
What do you mean?
right.
My students would never be like, yeah, screw you, Ray Cole. But I'm never going to be like, no, don't go take class from Vershawn. No, Vershawn is amazing. She's a great person to have in your network. Go take her class.
And then they'll
Become
come
friends with
right
her.
back and be like, "That was crazy. She said the same thing you said."
Right, right. And I'm right. My only advice to my children when they go out of Westlake is don't embarrass me. Don't go in nobody's space talking crazy, looking crazy. And then they got to call me like, Ray, I seen one of your girls, one of your kids. And I'm like, nope. They know what's coming back. So they like, it's interesting because as a former studio owner and a public school dance director, which are two different things. I was in it for commercial, for my personal profit and or community gain, because ain't no money in owning a dance studio at all ever.
Okay.
So you do it for the love, but
Mhm.
also being here and seeing how catty people could be or cutthroat people could be. It's not about that. One tells me you're not from Atlanta because old Atlanta's on for sure. But either way, at Westlake, and when you were at North Atlanta, and when you were at KIP, my students will never be your students.
Right.
I don't care. You let them come take a class from you. They can't go to North Atlanta. They have to go to Westlake. So I am here doing for this community, and you are there doing for that community. And those two finite communities need to work together because when they go to their college auditions or their professional auditions, they need to know that, hey, cool, A town, stay down,
Right.
whatever. And they have to know that. But some coaches are like, no, these are mine. And to those coaches who feel that way, all I can say is shame on you.
Mhm, mhm,
Shame
mhm.
on you
Yep.
because you are crippling your dancers by not allowing them community that you clearly were not a part of. Because if you were part of the community, you would have no problem letting your dancers into the community. Because at the end of the day, when your dancers go into the community, it looks better on you.
Yeah,
It brings you, it's like,
and it makes them it make because that's why I used to kid. I used to always take them places. You might not be the best dancer in the room, but that's what I need. I need you to
you
be
have to
around
expose them.
people that are dancing circles around you, so you can come back and be a little bit more humble. And y'all ready
Whoop.
to work now? Everybody ready to work? Good,
I
good. All right. You
You
know, but
want to do
especially
what
if
she
you're
did.
especially if you're building a program, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you already have an established program, you take them out there, you may have some amazing dancers that may sometimes be the best dancers in the room. That's cool
Hmm.
too. But building a program, absolutely. The best thing you can do, the first thing you should do is to put them in the places because A, they're gonna appreciate you utilizing your resources and giving them this exposure. Now they may hate it at first, right? Or they may not
Don't hate it
like
at first.
how it makes them feel in these
Hmm.
spaces. Okay, they may
And you're
not
going to
like that.
lose some dancers in that process too. And
Mhm.
that's okay. They shouldn't be there
So,
anyway.
but yeah, it's like, some people are afraid to lose dancers, and they're also afraid to once they go into these spaces, will they then be like, well, I want to be over there with them? Well, if you
That's
were
back to my
doing your
point. You need to do a
job,
better job.
yeah, if you're doing your job,
Good
they're gonna come
job.
back to you and be a little bit more hungry. And now this is where it's a sweet spot for you know for you because then it's like okay great we can really I can push now I can
Yep.
push and then when I feel like ooh all right everybody get a little too comfortable next next y'all feeling yourself we got to wrap this up we got to go on and do you know what I'm saying so I guess as far as so just to recap, so we're saying that coaches should be trained, they should get some professional development by being a part of their community. Okay, we got that part, and we
Mhm.
said that some key resources would be HBCU ADD, which is the Auxiliary Dance Directors Conference, which
Mhm.
is coming up. And when is that?
That is March 26th, 27th, 28th
In
in Stone
ATL.
Mountain.
Yep,
In
yep.
Stone Mountain ATL, yeah. You can register at hbcuadd.com. And it's very easy. You just got to take your time because we allow everybody to come, high schoolers, college students, coaches. Come on, coaches. This year we're starting a certification program so that we can
Mm.
provide these basic knowledge classes for some coaches because yes, y'all all should know what is too hot to take the children outside. Everybody should know.
We should
Okay,
also start
protect
having a
yourself.
discussion about speaking of outside, the type of shoes that we should wear outside. We should start having that discussion too.
Ooh,
That so
protecting the
maybe
feet.
yeah, because
Mhm.
jazz going through pairs of jazz shoes in a season is
It's
wild.
crazy work. It's crazy work.
Cause how where was y'all at?
Girl, crazy work.
Every time I see a hole in the shoe, I get so confused. Like,
Oh
what?
my gosh.
I have never.
And the only reason I understand the hole is because, so my girls will use jazz shoes on the field, and holes happen after a wet game
Yeah,
because they was turning, and
yeah.
that turf is not nice. Okay, we had a wet game. The integrity of the shoe is damaged. You have a hole, baby. You have 2 weeks to get you some new jazz shoes because that's not gonna fly with me right there. No, ma'am.
But even like you
But
said,
during the
weather.
whole parade, girl,
But even still, like you said, weather though. These are things we got to consider. Other things that I used to have to think about that you wouldn't think you got to think about is night and day. You know, uh, is it gonna be hot or cold?
or is
Like
it gonna be 20 degrees?
right. So like we can't decide that the children are gonna wear a crop top and some shorts. If it's gonna be cold, we think we just gonna put the cape on top. Like what? You know what
No,
I'm saying?
ma'am.
There's just things that have to be considered in the beginning of the season when you're ordering things. But
Hmm.
that's yeah, so yeah, when you say weather, that's all the things that I think of when we talk about the weather. And people don't realize what the weather got to do with anything a lot.
Baby, weather got everything to do with
A lot.
everything. What's your summer closet? What's your winter closet? What's it looking like?
Right. So, okay, so we got that part about the coaches, but like what are some of the skills and things I think is where, I kind of want to leave.
Okay.
What are some of the things that they can be teaching them, especially if they have like a brand new program, right? Or like
Right.
I said, a developing program. They have a developing
Right.
program. What are some of the things or where should they start? Like what should they be working on in order to
Curriculum
prepare them
wise.
to be competitive to a say
Mhm.
Westlake program?
So curriculum wise, back to these hard skills that we put on the table a while back. Hard skills. Any student over the age of 12 needs to have a full command of the dégagé or the battement tendu,
Hmm.
period. And that is so basic, but it is the harness. Here's okay theory. It is the harnessing of energy by the ankle, all the fulcrum, so the toes, the ankle, the knee, the thigh, and ultimately the hip. It is the proper execution of the pushing on the floor to develop power and cause friction to propel the body upward in a safe manner. All right. And that is done a myriad of ways. You can do it through ballet. That's the only way I can describe it is through ballet, but because I am a technician. But there are other ways to achieve that. You know, there's plyometrics, there's strength training, there's other ways to achieve it. Ballet for me was how I got it. Cool.
Mhm.
Any child over the age of 12, you got to have it. It has to happen. If you don't have it, you're going to struggle for the rest of your dance career until you have that foundational understanding of how you use the floor to get power. It ain't gonna fly. Simply, and to get simple down into the other hard skills, any child over 12, you have to have double pirouette, right and left, turned in and turned out, double pirouette. Two, it's all you're supposed to have by 12. Now, there are people who are on the internet and these magnificent little mini dancers who can do 10. We don't need that. You just need two on the right, two on the left, turned out and turned in. Any proper dance educator can get you from 2 to 10, from ages 12 to 17. Light work, right? Um, so yes, you need to be able to jump. You need to be able to spot. That is where I'm seeing a huge gap in
Mhm.
education. They can't spot. You know, one thing, they too scared to mess up their hair. What?
But I
They gotta
also
get
think it's
their hair done since I
I
was
also
30
think it's
years old.
that attention span too. Like, because you know how you have to stay focused on something? That because that
Mhm,
attention span is lacking, trying to keep them to stay, because you keep saying, "Look at me, look at me."
mhm,
And
and
then
they do this.
how did you end up looking back there? I'm saying, "Look at
Look at me.
me."
Look at
So,
me. Like, look me
I
in my
think it
eye.
also has a lot to do with the attention span nowadays.
I would agree. I've learned that
Mhm.
in spotting is that they spot in theory, but not in practice. So, where's my camera? Okay, I'm gonna do it to my camera, right? So they'll go and they'll spot, but they won't ever like
Look.
lock their actual eyeballs to the spots. They just be like, no, 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 no. Your eyeballs to my eyeballs. And it honestly can get down to something kinesthetic, just training your eyes to focus. You know
Mhm.
what? So we did Indian dance at Kennesaw State University. Ooh, that's another program, the high school's festival at Kennesaw State. We do that every other year. Great classes there. But anyway, they did Indian dancing, and in Indian and traditional Indian dance, you have to tell your eyes where to go. You got to look here when the hips go there, and you got to like it's a thing. And controlling where your eyes go. If you've never been in, okay, and back to ballet. Here we go. Back to ballet. Ballet teaches you to always focus your eyes on the middle finger. You know, I'm not giving you the middle finger, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Boom. I'm always focused. I'm always focused because it's teaching me to look at for my eyes to do something.
Mhm,
In
mhm.
in addition to my head, because my head may be tilted, but my eyes need to look there because my hand is going here, but my head has to stay tilted. So the little muscle things that are happening when I'm learning port de bras are translated when you go to other things. Because if I want you all to go here, that's different than going here. And spotting, it comes right back to spotting. So kids need to learn how to use their eyes. Like, hello, we here. You got to be home. You got to be home there. What else is another skill? So double pirouette, you got to learn how to spot, command the floor. Um, and then like basic, like just room etiquette. Nobody wants to dance next to somebody who can't hold their space. You're dangerous. You are dangerous, sister. If I can't do the dance without you getting in my way and I get hurt, ooh, we having problems. So spatial awareness, gotta know it. Gotta know it.
So these are some things that the coaches should be working on off rip, right? So
Absolutely.
because
Off rip.
oftentimes they'll come in and they got a team, especially when you're brand new to a team, right? And you start to, gather the girls and they want to be teaching technique. And so they want to be like, oh, they'll start off, I'm gonna teach these calypsos, and then let's get into these cones. I mean, of course, they're not calling them the correct things. They just doing the things. They're not calling them anything or the wrong thing. So at what point, or how do we know if we're ready to do these difficult advanced steps? Because I also then turn around and see them in the choreography, and it's not safe because they can't even, like you said, spot. So now we can't be safe in these spaces because we're not even
Mhm.
spotting. Like, it's a wild thing, and it's kind of like, well, let's just do it, and let's just
Mhm.
hope you
No,
do it right. So how do we know if
no.
we're even ready for these difficult or, advanced steps? Because it seems like they go straight to them.
That's a great question, and I wish I knew the answer because I know when they're ready, but it's because because I'm me, and I can only go back to coaches training. Coaches got to know. And if you don't know, you have to be humble enough to do what you said, call somebody else in because you may think you know, but you have no idea. And that be the part. I think I know. Well, I've seen it, and people have to be very honest with themselves about. Yes, you saw it, but were you taught by someone who knew the physiology behind it? Were you, or are you a fan who learned it off of YouTube?
Mhm, mhm.
And no shade to the fans who learned off of YouTube. Love y'all, but you learned it safely by the hair on your chinny chin chin, and it doesn't qualify you to teach somebody else how to do it.
Okay, so I guess lastly, I want to talk about the dancer's responsibility because we're talking about
Mhm.
high school kids, right?
Right.
And governing themselves and preparing themselves for auditions. Okay. If you're choosing to do this beyond high school, it is also your due diligence to be sure that you're receiving the things that you need along the way so that you're
Yeah.
then prepared by senior year to audition at your choice school. That's the part
That's
I
your
always
choice
preach
school.
because you can't,
Mhm.
it's like y'all are saying it's wild. They get to the senior year and they be like, yeah, I'm going to, Southern, or I want to be a singette. And it's like, really? It's not, like the dance ain't not giving that. The skill set doesn't give that. So
Yeah.
what should the dancer be doing to ensure that because there is a responsibility whether
Mhm.
parents allow them to have it or not. Because some kids
Yep.
don't allow their kids to be independent. That's another conversation.
It
But
is.
for the ones that that can actually, like take control and be a part of the process, right? What should the dancer be focused on so that they're prepared by senior year, understanding that we can't wait to senior year to then decide that we're going to do
What we
these
gonna
things?
do?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because right now I have my team right now. They're amazing girls. They're so amazing. I love them all. They're just amazing. But as I think about my seniors to my juniors to my sophomores, I don't have any freshmen.
Mm.
But yeah, this was not a freshman. Freshmen were not successful this year. But either way, my two seniors, one has known that she wanted to be a diva since she was eighth grade when I first met her.
Mhm.
I want to be a diva. I want to be a diva, and she has done everything she's supposed to do. She can do everything the divas do, dance wise. Well, now it's senior year, and we're working on those soft skills to make sure that by the time she gets to the diva auditions, that her soft skills are shining. Because best believe when you walk up in that audition, everybody is as good as you.
Mhm.
Let's not play them kind of games, baby.
Right.
Because this girl right here, I'm talking about, she's immensely talented. She's immensely talented. She can do anything. Anything. She's working on a 540 right now. I guarantee she gonna get
Wow.
it. you know? But she's gonna be in a room of girls just like her. And so it's gonna be the soft skills that make her stand out. I have my other senior. She didn't want to dance HBCU in college. She wants to go to a PWI, and she wanted to cheer, but now she's kind of like, I don't really know. But her course of study, and I need to say this too, both of these young ladies made this known to me when they first made this team. I'm back to what is the goal? You have to know the goal, because if you are not actively reaching a goal, and that is in any aspect of your life,
Mhm.
what are you doing? You're just kind of floating through life. You have to have a goal. Where are we going with this? So they told me this. We've done things all through their high school career to make sure that, okay, this is a realistic goal for you now. Because if it's not a realistic goal, I will quickly tell them junior year, yeah, we're going to rethink this goal because this is not going to happen. And I need to make sure that you understand that this ain't going to happen. My juniors last year told me that I have one who wants to be a doll. She can totally be a doll. If she had said, Rae Cole, I want to be a J set, I'd have been like, ooh, no, that ain't you, sis. We're not gonna do that. But this young lady, she can totally be a doll. She has more things to work on because uh, Coach Tracy has got those girls together. Baby, they are
Okay.
together. They're together. And so while this young lady is wonderful, she has a few things to work on, and she asks and she works. And now we're like, okay, cool. We need to go to the dolls camp. We need to work on your petite allegro. We need to do this because she can totally do it. And thank God she's got another year to figure it out. Because by the end of the senior year, she's gonna be raw, like super raw.
So you saying
Um,
she's a junior right now?
she's a junior right now.
Yeah. See, okay.
You see what I'm saying? So she
Mhm.
was very clear. And I'm like, cool. And we spent this year strengthening some things. And now that because she has all the things mentioned, she's got the soft skills down. You know, we got one more little thing to work on. And it's just, honestly, just petite allegro.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
Tracy will go a petite allegro up in a doll's field show in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Feet be going.
So
Baby,
just
get
be
it.
gone. Boop, 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 beep, beep, bop, bop, wop. Every
Mhm.
day. So I'm working on her speed. But I know what I'm looking at.
Mhm.
When I look at a Dolls Field show, I know what I'm looking at because I'm a dance educator and I'm also a coach.
Mhm.
And I can say, this is that, that equals this equals this. You are here. Let's develop a plan. Let's get some curriculum together for you to do, for to make that a goal. I can do that, and there are so many other coaches and dance educators who can, but there are so many other people who cannot.
Exactly.
My sophomores, I have two who are just obsessed with the Tiger Girls at LSU. They're
Mm.
obsessed, but they're good enough to make it too.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like they're sophomores, so yeah, they dance like sophomores. By the time they are seniors and we get there, no injuries. Watch out, Tiger Girls,
But
because
now
they're
how
gonna
do
be a
you
force
how
in
do
that
you
room.
at what point do you ask them their goal or do they just
I say that's the
share
first
this?
day. That's the first
Okay.
day on my team. The first thing we do is we sit down and we make a team goal. Like, what do y'all want to accomplish this season? And then I make them write 3 personal goals. Like, what does that look like? What do you want to do? What are your hard skills? What is your what do you want to do with this in college? Like, I make them write these out, and I
Mhm.
make them write them every year because every
Okay.
year things may change. They write them every single year. We have a dance notebook. You know myself. But they write them every year. And the fun thing is that when I get a veteran, I make them try out every year. But the veterans then look in their notebook and they say, oh, look, this was my goal when I was a rookie. And they can go back and they can check them off. And then, oh, this was my goal my second year. And then they can go back and they can check them off because my goal is to make sure that my kids hit their goals. That's my goal. You got to have a goal.
Right. Right.
Goals allow for things to happen with purpose. And when things are happening with purpose, they can happen with integrity. And when integrity is in the room, everybody is successful.
Mm.
I know that sounds like some crazy, like
Mm.
rose
Integrity.
colored glasses stuff, but it is what it is.
Well, I also think the other part of this is that you being around for so long because another issue with these teams is that people are in and out, so
Yeah.
if somebody comes for 3 years and then they leave and then somebody else comes and then then things get lost in translation. We may have been working on
Yeah.
something, but then they're gone. Now we got to work on something
Yep.
else. This person doesn't know me as well. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
just so many like variations to that. And that's the part that sucks too. A lot of times
I
in these
agree.
like rural towns, it's hard to keep somebody or they don't want to pay somebody or, and people
Hmm.
are only going to volunteer for free so long or they can do it when they can. But, it's so many factors, I guess, can play a part in
It
that.
is.
But as as a parent and a dancer, regardless of what else is happening around you, there are resources, and we have to take advantage of those resources if we're not getting what
Hmm.
we need at home. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So for those
Yep.
people that don't live in Atlanta, shoot, these people that live in Atlanta, they don't take advantage. They don't take advantage of the opportunities.
Ooh,
So
that's so nasty.
you have people that's traveling here across state lines to come be a part of things, and the people right here at home can't figure out how to be a part of the things. So
Yeah.
that's the whole nother issue too. But yeah, so I just feel like there are a lot of factors that can play into these kids being prepared. But the thing for me is kids being prepared. And sometimes it's not the kids' fault. So as adults, like the parents,
Yeah.
the coaches, the teachers, the band directors, because again, there's some onus there
Yes.
because you
That's
also
another
have to make
conversation. We've
sure
got to have that conversation.
that they're proficient at this skill, at these,
Hmm.
to be in front of the
Hmm.
band. So we can't just toss them to the side, but then we put them in the front. Like that's crazy. So yeah, so that's why I kind of felt like the conversation was needed, particularly with you, because you are the technician and you know exactly what's necessary. And what I gather also as a dance educator is that is that you gotta stay ready. And the only way you can stay ready is by going to
Hmm.
professional development and taking advantage of
Yeah.
opportunities and being a part of the community and all the things. And so if you're not in Atlanta and you need to figure out how to be a part of a community, then you need to be talking to some of these dance teachers at the schools. Hey, what y'all
Yeah.
get in there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Get
saying?
on
You
it.
gotta get in there so that you can know. And then too, that way you can, know who the people are that you can bring in. Y'all can even swap. Somebody, oh hey, will you come teach my kids
Baby,
this? I'm gonna come teach your
the
kids
barter
that.
situation, the barter situation has just become a thing of the past because, honey, a barter is so necessary. Yes,
Exactly.
I will teach this. If you teach that, I got you. Run it up. I will save money. You will save money, and our kids will benefit. Look at that. Because people love it. Well, I can't afford it. Well, I can't afford it either. So why are you charging me $1,600 when I could charge you $1,600, or we could just, we could cancel each other out and we just both teach for free. How about that?
If people would understand that concept, you know what I
Right.
mean? But
Right.
also, in order for us to barter, I have to see value in you. And the only way I
Yep.
can see value in you is if we come into this community and we're around each other, we see each other around, we know, like you
Hmm.
can't just be a
Hmm.
fly by night. You just showed up. I don't know you or
Yeah.
nothing. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So you got to be
You
around
showed
for a
up.
minute.
You want me to pay $150 per child. Who are you? Hello. Nice to meet you. Who are
Or
you?
and then or
Why
you
is it
can but you
beneficial for my
can't
kids to come see you?
But you also can't ask for people to come and do things for you if you aren't actually a active participant. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, so I need to see you a little bit more often. It's a lot of things that gotta happen, and people put the cart before the horse, and then want to know why, their kids can't do X, Y, and Z. So all I have to say is, if people go and watch your girls, they'll be able to understand that there's levels to this,
Yeah.
and we have to ante up the expectation of these kids and what these programs can do and how they can start
Hmm.
somewhere and they can become like your program. They can get there,
Yeah.
but there is a process and you have to start from the beginning and you don't start at the Olive Cone turns.
No, you
Right.
don't.
So any last words, sis, you want to go ahead and lay on the people? Any
Mm.
things that insight that you would say from, your experience as a college coach and a high school coach, any audition prep tips you want to give or any other things?
I'm just going to say to dancers, stay humble and stay hungry, stay curious and stay passionate. To parents, stay vigilant, stay watchful, and protect your pockets and protect your dancer, whatever that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if the class is $50, you get 5 classes for $50. It's
You're
probably
being
not gonna
taught by
work.
a teenager who probably doesn't.
Probably not. That's probably not the
But
same.
see, you know what? I'm gonna take that back because I taught as a teen, but I didn't teach the teenagers as a teen. I taught the babies how to properly develop their battement tendu. See, look at that. Put a bow on it. Because that's what we were doing at 15. We're
But
teaching you how to
no,
develop
no,
that
but some
battement
parents do
tendu.
not want to pay. Now, when you paying the real price, when you paying the real price, which I think baseline is probably 70, baseline
It is.
per
That's the good
class,
baseline in Atlanta. In Atlanta.
per hour class baseline.
Yeah.
If you paying any less than that for one class, that ain't where you need to be. That
Mm-mm.
or that's a very recreational class. So they're not
There it is.
on
There it
track
is.
to get your kid to said prepare for said audition or anything like that. This is
Yep.
just foo-fooing around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we
Mm-hmm.
talking, if we when you said protect your pockets, it made me think about this because I was like, okay now.
But yeah, you got to,
so
because like
so
if I'm
be
throwing $50
responsible.
at it,
Be responsible and pay for the things. Find somebody to pay for the
yeah.
things to make sure that your child is taken care of. Because just think of a daycare. If they charge you $50 a week, run. Same thing with dance education. Okay,
Yeah.
if they are
Yeah.
charging less than the average of because thinking you've done your research, that ain't the place. So all right, this is well, yeah, this was amazing.
This
And
was fun.
yeah, you have been educating the people, and I'm sure they are appreciative of the tips. And based on what you said, half the things you said, I don't even know what you were saying. So that's how come they're gonna be you're going to then see them at the conferences and things. And so make sure when y'all see Miss, Coach Rae at the HBCU ADD, make sure y'all speak and let her know hmm that you heard what she said and that you are here because you are ready to learn. Make sure you approach her,
Amen.
say hello, and say that because
I'm
we
real
really
nice.
real nice until you see a biscuit and it's over. All right, so this has been another episode of the Major Business Podcast with Miss Coach Rae Ransom Coleman, and affectionately known as Rae Cole. We should see you guys at the HBCU ADD conference that's coming up. Please make sure you go ahead and register hbcuadd.com. Either way, I hope you guys have learned some things to make sure your kids are prepared, coaches prepared for auditions, and then dancers and parents and band directors and anyone that's involved in the education and matriculation of any high school auxiliary dancer. We really hope that you are in tune and willing to and reach out if you need assistance trying to pinpoint the community, or if you're trying to find opportunity for your dancers to be trained and be prepared for auditions. Please make sure you reach out to us. You can comment below. You can follow us at Choreo U Dance. That is our YouTube page. You can also follow us at Choreo U Dance on Instagram, and you can follow the podcast at Major Business Pod on Instagram. So thank you guys for watching.